Hello, YouTube. I am an aspiring artist that likes to watch anime and any films in general, and I think about what I watch. And I'm also using this side project as a means to exercise my brain, because when I draw, I don't really think that much. I just think heavily when I practice drawing, and my brain needs something to chew at. This project also serves as a marketing campaign for my main project, which is my webcomic. And so, if you're new to the channel, this is just a rough introduction which I decided to create for the sake of it. And I create videos like this weekly. So, if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss an upload. I really appreciate your consideration and support. I hope you have a great day ahead. Depends on the time you're watching. But anyway, so much of that. Let's get on with the character analysis. The character I'm gonna analyze is Wu Wuxian of the real Chinese anime modaozushi. In English translation, it means the untamed. So I assume you click on this video because you watched the anime, and if you haven't, go and watch now. It's worth it. I promise you. You can come back later after watching it. But if you're really stubborn, I guess I have to quickly summarize the story. Also, this will serve as a test of my memory. If you already watched the anime, you can skip this part with the timestamp and head directly to the character analysis. So, brief gist of the story. Story is BL, but it's not heavily focused on romance. There are romantic scenes, yes, but the characters' affection to each other is kind of low key. The genre is fantasy, action, romance, and the fantasy is a soft system. It's not really heavily explored. The principles are just explained in a broad way, but there's no minute explanation of every techniques of their magic. The action is very smooth. They fly with their swords and stuff. They can attack with their musical instruments. Very epic. That aside, the story revolves around Wu Wuxian, is basically the author referred to as the untamed. The story is mostly political, like clan leaders trying to dominate and fight each other, and lots of words and talks about ethics, morals. The story really explored humanity's greed and lust for power and domination, and of course, how to fight it and overcome it. The first part of the story is basically Wu Wuxian as a teenager, and then his whole clan was wiped out. He was sent to death but survived, and so he practiced dark arts to have revenge. He didn't really drive the war to victory, but he was a great asset. The second part of the story is about a Mr. Villain that wants him dead. To hide his own shenanigans, he set up Wu Wuxian to take the blame. And also some clan leaders feared his power, so it was easy for the villain to manipulate their minds. And so the villain set up traps for him, ruined his reputation, that eventually leads to his death. And then he was summoned back to life again by a young man who also practiced dark arts. And he got a second chance in truly uncovering the mystery of his death. And that's the gist of the story. Of course, all the way of the story, his romantic partner is with him. Not always, but they have encounters together and have fight with death together and survive. They bonded, but not in a very explicit way. If the author didn't claim it as BL, one can easily mistake it as brotherly bond. But it becomes obviously a BL as the story progresses. So let's proceed to the character analysis. Wu Weixian practiced what they call the dark arts. It's a forbidden art that utilizes dark energy, like resentment, etc., and also animating corpses and the like. And he's the founder of the dark arts, basically. It is not really shown how he learned it. There's no part where he practiced it. He somehow disappeared. And then when he comes back, he has this overwhelming power. Like I said, Wu Weixian is what the author referred to as the untamed. And so why is that? He isn't tamed in a sense of his character. Like he's a very tricky combination of genius, troublemaker. He is smart in a sense that he easily understands and masters skills. He is the highest disciple of their clan. I forgot the exact title, but basically he's like the top of his class. But again, like I said, he's a wild beast. he isn't afraid of the rules. He's also a what they call quote unquote outside of the box thinker. There's a scene where he is asked with a question from their teacher. He knows the conventional answer or the old way of doing things, but then he also sees a new way of solving things. In that scene, I forgot the question, but I remembered his answer. Someone that is not familiar with the world, I found his answer unique and unexpected. And it was related to dark arts, like utilizing the power of evil to fight evil. And the scene shows his unconventional way of thinking. The first part of his story was all about revenge, but it isn't really clearly narrated, since the way the author outlines the story is not in a linear, typical fashion. Because the story started with him being summoned, and in this part we still don't know him, and so the story occasionally comes back to his past, and then back to the present again. His first part of the story was mainly an introduction of his character. The one clan rising into power by wiping his entire clan when their proposal of subjugation was rejected, and hence it became his motivation for revenge. In the part of introduction, Wu Wuxian doesn't appear to have desires for anything. He was just living a peaceful life according to the dictates of his culture. When his entire clan was wiped out, this gives him motivation for revenge and power. And his reason for practicing dark arts is mainly because he lost his golden core. This is basically the source of their spiritual energy, and so to compensate, he practiced dark arts instead. But he never really lost his golden core per se, he just gave it to his stepbrother. Being selfless is also part of Wu Wixin's character. Giving his golden core to his stepbrother is a selfless act that personally I wouldn't do. Well, I would probably do it if I knew that I can practice dark arts, but still the pain of the process is commendable. So his life was mainly driven by fate. Like fate offers him circumstances that he can't possibly ignore. While he can ignore his revenge, like when he survived when he was thrown into a pit, he could choose to marry and be a merchant, a farmer or something, and live the rest of his life peacefully, but he chose revenge. Personally, I would choose revenge too. But anyways, what I'm trying to say, at first part of his story, he doesn't have a desire. Like as an example, Naruto in the anime Naruto, he wanted to be the Hokage, and his actions were driven by that goal. If Naruto desired to be the greatest ramen chef and build his own restaurant, then the whole story would revolve around Naruto's desire to be a chef. In the case of Wu Wuxian, life circumstances pushed him to desire something. Fate trapped him into just doing one thing. In the second part, after being summoned, his whole journey was finding out the conspiracy behind his previous death. And of course, any normal person would do that if they're trapped in that same situation. So in this case, he don't really have a choice but face what fate brings upon him. I'm going to talk about his values. Wuxian, despite being a troublemaker, he has principles. He cares about the people in general, especially the innocent and the weak. And he sacrifices reputation and risks being sneered and named a villain to fight for his values. As an example of this, when he chose to protect the elderly and the children of the Wen clan was the clan that tried to subjugate all clans, and is the clan that wiped out his entire clan. And everyone wants every single one of the Wen clan imprisoned to torture to death, even the children and the old folks. But Wu Weixin fights for his values about protecting the innocent. It was clear that the elderly and the children didn't take part of the siege and was helpless against the order of their leaders. But the other clan chose to see them as evil, and so Wu Weixin stands up for them despite the consequence. The consequence was him getting out of his own clan and his reputation severely damaged. But Wu Weixin didn't think twice of doing it. He does what he wants according to his values, and him being powerful is also integrated deeply into his character and values. I mean, it is a luxury to stand up for yourself and be able to fight and win whoever fights you. To put it simply, Wuxian is invincible, and that's why the weak who desired power feared and wanted him dead. When I think about it, Wuxian doesn't appear to have a weakness. There's no scene when he struggled psychologically, like insecurity, envy, loss for power, anxiety. It's like he's an OP character solving mystery. There's a scene when he appeared to lose control, but it was a normal reaction when his subordinate kills the husband of his sister. He blames himself, thinking he lost control. There are times when he doubts himself, but it's not really prevalent. He just knows his art so well. He is really OP in a sense. And so, what do I like about him? I like his openness. His version of OP is having the capability to stand up for his values, because in modern times, our values may differ from the general crowd, but we choose to stay silent to avoid conflict and the consequences. But of course, it is easy if we have the means to protect what we care about. As an example, Wuxian can do whatever he wants because he is powerful. He has the means to fight for what he wants. Of course, those are just fiction. In their world, Woolwich acquired his skills and power through his genius and effort. And if we were to take the example in real life, power would be money. It goes hand in hand in influence, and influence is synonymous to power. And money can be generated through a lot of means, but overall, our cultural ground is a lot more complicated than fiction, so I won't explore further. His personality type is carefree and talkative. He likes to joke around and take things lightly, but he takes his values seriously and is committed in doing the right thing. His character overall is ideal. In the story, there's not much of a character development, more like an ideal character dealing with hard circumstances. Overall, the story is 10/10 and I highly recommend it for anyone to watch. The build romance isn't really heavy and explicit. It is so low key, but it's so obvious. I'm not just used to it. I'm more used to hardcore explicit BL. Anyways, that's my take on it. A disclaimer, this is just my perspective. I don't claim to hold the scepter of judgment. I am just another human being sharing my thoughts about the anime. And, and so tell me your thoughts about it too. I would really like to know them. And yeah, that's that. Thank you for sticking by to the end. I really, really appreciate it. But anyways, I am creating a webcomic. The title is Land of the Gods. Genre is fantasy, action, romance. World theme is medieval fantasy. And I won't bore you with the details. If you're interested, check out the link on the comment section along with all my socials. Yeah, again, thank you so much. If you like to support the channel in financial means, but why the hell would you do that? But in case you're high on mushroom and filled with love for humanity, I left my PayPal link in the description below. And again, thanks for sticking by this far. Have a blessed 2023. Bye. See you when I see you.